You're watching Indie Shooter's back-to-back coverage of NAB 2019. Sponsored by 16x9, Band Pro Film and Digital, JBC, Manios Digital and Film, Panasonic, Sigma, and Carl Zeiss.
Hi, Clint with Indie Shooter, continuing our coverage of NAB 2019. I'm here with Carl Soule of Adobe, and you guys have announced prior to NAB a new release of all of the apps in the Creative Suite. Let's talk a little bit about Premiere, or you want to talk about kind of a general update?
Well, in general, this release was a lot about performance and stability. We allowed the engineers to kind of take a cycle where they could go back into a lot of features that we've released really fast. We've been on a fast release schedule, doing up to 4 releases per year since Creative Cloud came out. So this was kind of an opportunity to take a step back, kind of look at certain things, see where we could optimize certain features that had come out in past releases. And because of that, we're seeing huge performance gains in a number of areas. Premiere Pro in particular, we've optimized the use of multiple GPUs in the system. Premiere has used multiple GPUs in the past, but now we can leverage them more efficiently and more effectively, so you're getting more bang for your buck for the same existing GPU. And then we've also added support for external GPU chassis, so that if you're editing on a laptop computer and you want to have a more beefy GPU and an external chassis on your desk at home, you can plug in and get better performance in the timeline and then get faster rendering output as well.
Yeah, these things are becoming super popular because people can put whatever GPU they want in the housing, essentially. And so we're just seeing a broader support for all of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is both Windows and Mac. We've gotten a lot of requests for it, particularly on the Mac platform with Thunderbolt 3, and that being a standard in MacBook Pros. So this gives you an opportunity of working with your existing GPU in your MacBook Pro, but then also be able to upgrade to a desktop class card when you're back and you're editing at your facility.
So stability and incorporating the GPUs, multiple GPUs, what else are we talking about?
One area that we focused on is we've had a mask tracker built into Premiere Pro for quite a while. So you can draw masks inside of Premiere and you can track those masks. So this is really useful for things like doing secondary color correction. You can set up, you want to color grade the face differently from the rest of the scene and things, so you can use multiple lumetri effects. The mask tracker, we thought we could get more performance out of it. It's really amazing what we were able to do this release. Even if you're just working on an HD clip, it's about 2 times faster. When you start getting into the 6K and 8K realms, which we're seeing more and more production going in those higher and higher raster sizes, 8K clips, when you put a mask on it and you track the mask, it's something like 38 times faster than it was in the past release.
Wow, 38 times.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. What about in regards to Adobe? I think it was last year, you announced that certain operating systems you are no longer going to support. Where are you guys with that right now?
So we typically try and keep 2 versions back on which operating systems we support. On Macintosh, we really focus on the High Sierra and Mojave releases. We work closely with Apple for their Apple Metal GPU architecture. And so we recommend Metal as something moving forward if you're on High Sierra 1013 or Mojave 1014 moving forward. So we're starting to see big performance gains, and we've done some real public-facing statements to just kind of talk about that. On the Windows side, we did actually drop support for Windows 7.
Oh, wow.
So we do recommend Windows 10. We've got a good working relationship again with Microsoft to make sure that we have optimized things. And one thing that we've added in the software to help with configuration issues is the first time you launch the software, or anytime you want, you can go to the help menu and there's a new tool which will go through and analyze your system and just make sure that the latest and greatest drivers for your hardware are running, and let you kind of identify any type of problem areas which might be preventing you from getting full performance out of your system.
Now, we were talking before, you mentioned something about a new bin system, is that right?
Yeah, so one initiative that we have at Adobe is, I work out of the Santa Monica office, and the engineering team that we have in Santa Monica are dedicated to feature film and broadcasting workflows. So we work really closely with editors from the various guilds, we work really closely with editors from various broadcasters. One of those engagements last year was on a feature film And the editor there was looking for a much more free layout to be able to grab icons and kind of put them in stacks and to move them around, make them different sizes, color code them, do other things, to have a more visual layout way of working. So that was the genesis of the new freeform bin layout that we now have in Premiere Pro. So anybody who wants to have that kind of free-flowing layout, we've also set it up in such a way that if you have multiple editors touching the project, each one can save their own layout, so that when they jump into the project, if an assistant editor wants to lay things out, maybe it's multicam, Mickey Mouse style, something along those lines, and then the lead editor wants to change that around and do other things with the way the clips are organized, you can save different layouts. And so when you open up the project, you can see all the clips at a glance. You can even use it for like storyboarding. You can put a bunch of clips in a row, then select all those clips and drop them to a sequence.
Amazing. So what other improvements in regards to Premiere?
From a motion graphics standpoint, we've gone in and the motion graphics team is continuing to evolve and add new things. And as part of that, we maintain a site called User Voices. And from that site, one of the top requested features that we've always wanted to put in Premiere, but it just never kind of percolated at the top of the list, was rulers and guides. After Effects has had it, Photoshop has had it. Now we have rulers and guides inside of Premiere Pro, so that if you're trying to line up graphics, or you have a client that is like convinced that the lower third is like 1 pixel off on this one instance, it's like now you can actually put a ruler in line on your program monitor. And not only that, you can share your rulers and guides from After Effects and Premiere Pro. You can go back and forth. If somebody sets up a set of rulers and guides in After Effects, you can load that file into Premiere and use it inside of Premiere.
So moving on to Audition, what improvements were you looking at there?
One of the biggest improvements in Audition is the ability to now do punch and roll edits. So the basic idea of this is if I'm doing a voiceover recording and I flub a particular line of dialogue and I just want to roll back to just before that line and cut back in again so that I don't end up with a million multiple takes. Punch and roll enables me to go back to a particular point, hit punch and roll, and it'll give me a nice 3, 2, 1 countdown where to pick, so I'll hear the previous line and then immediately jump in and be able to continue to speak.
So it's kind of like almost like a ADR situation. Were there other improvements on Audition?
There's been a lot of work to just enhance performance. Not necessarily to this release, but one thing that we want to absolutely get the message out there is that if you use Audition for your final sound mixing from Premiere, we offer full timeline fidelity out of Premiere Pro. Your temp sound mix, if you do it in Premiere, everything comes across. That includes third-party plugins. We have an easy way of sending a sequence over to Premiere, or from Premiere over into Audition, and from Audition you can then export directly to Media Encoder. So we're really trying to enhance that workflow. And at the same time, we're also very big on open workflows. We've done a lot of improvements and enhancements on things like AAF turnovers. That's part of what I've been working on as of late, is making sure that when we do sound turnovers to like a major post house, that it's a smooth and it's an efficient process.
Even with all that technology, I know for us, we publish a podcast, and I use Audition. I use Audition to record it. I use Audition to mix it. Maybe it's because I'm familiar with the workflow, and it just feels natural to me. But it seems to me the tightest workflow for even the simplest things.
Absolutely, and I mean the integration that it has now, the essential sound panel that we have inside of Adobe Premiere Pro. If you start something and use the Essential Sound Panel in Premiere, you have the same Essential Sound Panel over in Adobe Audition, and you can continue to modify it, and you can go in and tweak the individual filters and effects that'll add to your workflow. On that front, we actually added the ability to do auto ducking for ambient sound now as well. So with ambient sounds, obviously if you have crowd sounds, Walla Walla in a restaurant, something like that, you might want to start it high and then have it duck down when dialogue starts. And we now have a new, powered by Adobe Sensei, machine learning algorithm for doing that on ambient sound as well. We already had it for music, so it's great to see it added for ambient as well.
And if you want to go through and tweak like the auto things, you have full ability to do that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The beauty of the Essential Sound Panel is it provides a series of just small sliders which use machine learning to get you most of the way there. But the best part about it is every one of those sliders is driving a series of effects and filters under the hood or creating keyframes that you have full ability to go in and customize and modify from there. So it's not like a black box where it just does what it does and you either use it or you don't. You can use it to get yourself 80% of the way and then jump in and do the fine tuning to get yourself to the 100% mark.
So let's talk about After Effects a little bit. What improvements in this release?
Well, the biggest one that's got everybody excited is content-aware fill for video. This is something that we sneaked a number of years ago at Adobe Max. It was called Project Cloak at the time, and people thought it was like voodoo science. It's the basic ability to remove any object from a video scene and have an algorithm go through and figure out what pixels should fill that hole in over time, blended, tracked, everything, so that you're just basically, you're finished with the job. And there's plenty of people out there that can take days doing this type of work, going back and forth to Photoshop and everything else. Yeah, and going through and trying to find pixels, put them in place, get them tracked, etc. This really, really cuts down on the time it takes to do those types of shots.
And this is through AI? Is that how it's able to do it, or?
It's a number of different things. There is a machine algorithm that drives a lot of this. It is part of the powered by Adobe Sensei technology that we have scattered throughout the suite. So Adobe Sensei is our brand for all of our machine learning and AI algorithm based technologies. It's amazing what it does, how it's able to pick out the pixels from previous frames or past or future frames to be able to plug a hole and fill that area in seamlessly.
So have we missed any updates that you might want to mention?
The only other thing, our Adobe Character Animator software continues to grow in popularity, particularly online. We're starting to see more and more people using it for things like podcasts. We're seeing people using it for live streaming functions, where it allows for people who are interested in, a property like, for example, like My Little Pony, allowing people to actually see a character, Twilight Sparkle, be animated in real time and interact with that character in a live environment. The newest thing in this release, there's a lot of new improvements and enhancements to the way we do character rigging, but in addition to that, we have new technology specific for Twitch users, so that Twitch users, somebody can set up preset animations inside of their puppet ahead of time, and when you're streaming direct to Twitch, the Twitch users can actually pay in Twitch bits to animate your avatar in a specific way. So it's just it's something a lot of requests we got from the Twitch community.
And that's available right now?
Available right now, yeah.
Now, one of the things we were talking about earlier is with new hardware, there's come two new codecs, ProRes RAW and Blackmagic RAW. Talk about what your process is as far as like dealing with those codecs.
In past cycles, we announced support for the Sony Venice camera and the format, the OCN-X format that RAW camera shoots in. That camera shoots a wide variety of formats, including anamorphic and spherical, and there were a few formats that we weren't supporting. So we did a little bit of work in this release just to make sure that we fully support the Sony Venice camera. But that was kind of an add-on to what we had done in past releases. For future releases, we're a huge fan of RAW formats. We invented the Cinema D&G format, and we've partnered with companies like Red and Arri over the years to be able to add support and compatibility for the RAW formats from these various cameras. The two that we get the most questions about right now, obviously, Blackmagic RAW and ProRes RAW. Our engineering team is definitely fully in research of those two formats, what it's going to take to add them to the software. Really, at this point, we're looking to users to see what they're actually needing. As part of that, we have a new site that came up about a year ago called User Voice. And anybody can access the User Voice site simply by going in the software, go to Help, Give Feedback. And in the Help menu, if you do this, it'll take you to the User Voice site. You can look at everybody else's priorities of what's been upvoted for features that are missing. And in addition to that, you can add your own voice and add your own features that you're requesting. So we're already seeing some demand for Blackmagic RAW and ProRes RAW. It's definitely something we're going to keep our eye on for the future.
Excellent. People want to find out more. They want to start working with these tools. They're available right now, right?
Absolutely. Anybody who's a Creative Cloud member today has access to download the latest updates.
And the website is?
Oh, it's just through the Creative Cloud app, or just go to adobe.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Carl.
All right, thank you.
You're watching Indie Shooters back-to-back coverage of NAB 2019. Sponsored by 16x9, Band Pro Film and Digital, JBC, Manios Digital and Film, Panasonic, Sigma, and Carl Zeiss.